Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Lemesnatis Bava Daf Kuf Vav. We are going to begin on Kuf Hey Amid Beis, 5 lines from the bottom. Mesiv Rami Barchama. So he asked the following question: V'shikanegdu choshed al shvua ketzad. So typically speaking, as Rashi reminds us in Masechta Shvuas, that when it comes to a chiv shvua, typically what a person does is, if there's a chiv shvua on you, you make a shvua, and because of the shvua you made, you no longer have to pay. You don't pay. However, if that person is choshed, shvua, he's suspect that he's going to be lying, so we don't want him to make the shvua. And therefore says Rashi, this is one of the situations where because he's choshed al shvua, he can't make the shvua, so therefore the other person has to, and then he'll make the shvua and take. So, now, let's say we're dealing with shvuas edus, namely, you knew testimony and you lied to that effect. Also, when it comes to not kaifer bikadon, which we saw in yesterday's daf, that kaifer bikadon is enough even without a shvua, but it's only when you make a shvua saying that someone else's object that is by you is not really here, and it's a lie. They feel shvua shav, even if all you did was make a shvua shav, which again is not linked to these things. Nonetheless, the din is that you're choshed al shvua, because we see that you lie. So im isa b'kfirahu di'ifsalei. Understand? We mentioned before, according to the this opinion quoted above, that the issue of Rav Sheshes brings down of a kaifer b'kadayin nasal of gazlan b'chay b'oinsin. And again, what we ended up trying to figure out is whether that is dafka with a shvua, which is not the language of Rav Sheshes. He says, even if all you're doing is kaifer b'kadayin, once you deny you have it, already you're a gazlan. So the question is, if you're considered to be a gazlan, says Rashi, what Rav Sheshes the mishas kfiraso nasa gazlan. So lamuli lemisli gabi hanach demashma do ifsol ad shas shvua. Why is it only by a shvua to be kadain? Ki hanach ha mishas kvir ifsole mishum dehavi gazlan. A gazlan is someone that you don't trust, and therefore they would also be not able to make a shvua, and that would be another case of shkanegdu chashel al shvua. So because of that, it's a raya against Rav Sheshes, so it's a kasher Rav Sheshes, that it's davka when a person makes a shvus b'kadain, not b'kaiver b'kadain. So Amri hachmaiskin dekaiv agam. We're talking about that it is in the swamp. Delav kfirahu. That is not considered to be a form of denial. The Savar, his thought process is, Ishtamtinale, I'm going to delay the matter, Adazilna, until I can go, Umaisinale, and then I'll bring it. Notice his intention was just to delay the payment, not to deny. So here, he isn't puzzle until he actually makes a shvua. However, when Rav Sheshes says his statement, is when, again, witnesses came, and he's kaifer them straight out, and he's not trying to be a shtemute. He's not trying to push them off. However, when it's ba'agam, again, then in that situation, he would only be chayiv, he would only be considered to be puzzle, if you will, only once he makes a shvua. Because before that, his kfira is not a real kfira. He's not just straight out denying it. He's just trying to push him off, trying to delay returning it. So, psychologically, it depends on the motivation of why this person is being kaifer b'kadain. Taina, I'll prove this to you. Yomi Rav Idi Baravin hakaifer b'milva karshel edus. If someone, as we see in many places, if you have a loan and the person says, you owe me a loan, and the guy says, no, you don't owe me any money, you're still karshel edus, even though you're lying regarding that. As we continue Kuf Vav Aleph, we'll see the famous reason for that. B'pikadon pasal edus. However, when it comes to pikadon, you're pasal edus because it's here. So if it's here, what do you mean you're lying? You're lying. Give it back. But by milva, which we've seen many times, especially when it comes to the Svar of Moedim Mixas Satayna, why we require Shvua Deraisa, is because a person is not really over here being kaifer. He's just trying to push off the loan. He's trying to delay the process of him having to pay the malva back. But the truth is, it's not because he's just flat out lying. So therefore, we see this motivation when it comes to a milva that you're still kashal edus. Okay. V'yarmer ilfa shvua kaina. So ilfa says that shvua is kaina. Says Rashi, kasagadaita chlischaya b'oinsin. That means that you're going to be chayim in oinsin. Misha shenishbul sheker kaimer, from the time that you lie. So what is the diak? Shvuhi de kanya. It's only from the time of the shvua of a kafir lo kanya. So again, it seems like ilfa once again is going totally against the shita Rav Sheshes. So the answer that they're not a contradiction. Hachanami de kaima ba'agam. When does ilfa say that it's only shvua's kaina they're chay b'oinsin? Says Rashi, l'schay b'oinsin b'shash nishmal sheker. So it's only in a situation where it's the kaima ba'agam. So in this situation, it's only when you make a shvua is it in fact an issue of what you're saying. But before that, you're just trying to push him off. But once you make a shvua, then already you're going to be chayim b'oinsin. As opposed to Rav Sheshes is not talking about ba'agam, and he's just totally flat out kaifer b'bikadain, even though it's right here. So then the din is he's going to be a gazan right away. Vibo is saying, but my shvua kaina, what does that mean? Rav Huna, Diyama Rav Huna Marav, Manli Biadcha. Person says, you have $100 in your hands. Please give it back to me. I don't have a penny, so you're being kaifer b'koil. V'nishba, and you make a shvua to that effect, which is shvuas hesas. V'achachach ba'edim, and then witnesses come afterwards to basically say that you do own the money. Potter. So an unbelievable chiddush, you're potter here. Why? Shenemar, because the pasuk says, "L'achach ba'alav v'lo yishalim." The owner will take and not pay. Kivan shekibul habalim shvua, which means that once you've required a shvua to be made, shuv in mishal mamin, he still doesn't pay. So once he gives a shvua, this oath exempts him from paying, even if he found out to be a lie. So too maybe that's the din by Ilfa as well. Ilfa is just telling you that once you make a shvua, that's it. You don't have to pay anymore, which is something to think about, the logic in that svara. So in yesterday's daf, we tried to answer question 7, but clearly we didn't get to this part. So now let's see it. Omar Sheshes, a kaiver b'kadain without a shvua, nasal of gazlan right away. V'chai b'oinsin. Kain b'tartz l'shitaso hadiyamar ilfa shvua kaina. Only shvua, but not before the shvua. So one answer is that it's the kaima ba'agam, that it's b'kaim ba'agam, and therefore that's the reason why it's only with a shvua, because before that you're a stimute, you're just pushing him off. Alternatively, ilfa is not b'chayv and oinsin. Elwa, what he's trying to do is to pater him from mumbling completely, based on the pasuk v'lachapablo yishalim. Okay, and I believe there's another question exactly like this. TB5. So let's see that. Oim Rav Sheshes HaKoifer bibikado nasal of gas v'chai b'oinsin. Came to start so shitaso hadimer ilfa shuos kain. Okay, I wrote im hapikadin matzah ba'agam hu oimer et zeh rak inyan b'mamoin v'lo inyan oinsin. Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, hopefully they'll understand what I was trying to say. TB5. Okay, let's continue. Weiter, Kufa. Let's get back to what we said before. Omer Rav Huna Omer Rav, Manu biyadcha. So you owe me $100. It's in your hands. Lo Omer ein lecha biyadi klum. I owe you nothing. Benishba, and you make a shvua to that effect. Uva edim, and witnesses come and basically say that you're found to be lying. Potter. For some reason, you're still potter from having to pay. Shenemar, well, there's a reason. The pasuk says, "V'lakach bal v'lo yishalim," that he takes and doesn't pay. Kiban shekibul balam shvua, which means once the baal is makabel a shvua upon you, so then all the baal can do is make you do one action. Basically, he can either make you pay if there's adequate witnesses, or if he can force a shvua upon you, then that's it. So once you made a shvua, even though you made a shvuah and you lied, because witnesses came there afterwards, you're still going to be potter. Shilvi and Mishalm and Mammon. Amrava, Mistaber Milsa the Rav. This reasoning of Rav is probably only b'milva, when we're talking about there's a dispute regarding a loan, because that money is used to be spent, and therefore new monies are in production, if you will, to give back to the lender, and therefore in that situation, you have an obligation to actually pay back that which you borrowed. However, if it's a pikadon, it's the exact same object. It's mamish right here. So if that's the situation, that you had the same pikadon because you are holding it and you're going to give back the exact same thing, so it doesn't make sense that v'yishalim, that you shouldn't have to pay back like new monies, because it's already here. It's always belonged to the owner, so you should always have to give it back even after a shua. This language is very strong lashon shvua that he doesn't make any distinction. This pasuk is actually going by pikadon. So even when it comes to a pikadon, if a person talks about by Hashem or Sachar over there, so the din still stays that once he makes a shvua, he doesn't have to return even the pikadon. Yosef Rav Nachman Karmel Hashmaisa. So he was saying over the sugya, Esvi Rav Acham Bar Min Yomi Rav Nachman. So he asked the following kasha to Rav Nachman, who was a Nachman who was there saying over the sugya. So Rav Acham Bar Min Yomi asked the following question to him. It says like this: Heicha pikdoini. So he had this in Perek Meruba. Where is my pikadon? I gave you an object to watch. Amalei avad. Unfortunately, I'm tain tanas avad. I'm claiming that it was lost. Mashbiachani. Swear to me that this is the case. So he does. So it turns out that witnesses come. Again, this is talking about a case of pikadon. He makes a shvua, and apparently, as we just said, according to Rav, he would be potter. But listen to what it says: Mishalom is a Karen. You have to pay back the object itself. However, Rashi says v'kefal lo the in kefal el b'tain nignav. It's only when it comes to toin tanas ganav. If you steal or you're toin tanas ganav, that you claim that it was stolen by you. But here it's actually it's a case of pikadon, and you're toin tanas avad. You claim that it was lost. So in that case, by toin tanas avad, b'pikadon, the din is that you're potter from kefil. Okay, hayda ba'atzmo. What if you admit by yourself? Misham keren chom. Then you have to pay. Now, what does it say? If you're hayda ba'atzmo, says Rashi, acha shvua. You made a shvua and you admit, I lied. So the din is you have to pay keren chom. Says Rashi, katani miyom. But we still learn that reisha misham keren ali de edim. Witnesses came after the shvua that says you have to pay back. The kasha Rav diyer mekivan shenishmul yisham afil boy edim. I thought we just said that that's not true. So again, the whole din of being tain of chiv kefil is only by tain tonas ganav, because we learned even matzeh haganav. However, not by tain tonas avad, which is over here. So there's never a din chiv kefil. That's like a sidebar point. The question is, why does it say over here you have to pay? If we're talking about a pikadon and he makes a shvua to that effect, and then Adam come, I thought Rav said that you're going to be potter. So only Rav Nachman hacham amaskin kagan shnish b'chutzal beistin. His shvua was chutzal beistin, which is because of that lima shvua lafkui memoina. It's only a shvua which is in beistin that will cause him not to be potter from paying, according to Rav. However, if he made a shvua but it was chutzal beistin, that doesn't have the same power, and therefore he'll still be chayav to pay. If we're talking about this, the case is chutzal beistin, same as seifa. Heichen pikdain, where's my pikadain? Armul nignav, so he's tying tanas ganav here. So we have witnesses that he stole. Again, because the first case was tying tanas avad. By tying tanas avad, you never pay kefil. By tying tanas ganav, you do pay kefil. So if he admits by himself, he pays the keren chamish asham. He doesn't pay kefil, which is kanas, because if you're Moed B'Knas is Potter. V'Yisach Adaita Chutz L'Beis Mika Kefil. Understand, if this whole case is talking about all of this stuff was done outside of Beis Din, the din of Ton Tonas Ganav, which is only with a shvua, it has to be done in a Beis Din to be chayav kefil. Well, what does that mean? Obviously, it's with a Beis Din. The truth is, we can just split it up. We can say, the first case is outside of Beis Din. In this case, obviously, there's a chayav kefil. It's beis din. We don't love giving such answers like that. We'd rather all remain consistent, and therefore, either beis din. Really, they were both in Beis Din. Okay, so the Seifa makes sense. That's the reason why Chayav Kefil. But the ratio, we're back to our problem, because it was Beis Din. So how come it says over here that by a Pikadon, if you make a Shvua, and Adam come and say they were lying, it says over here they have to pay back the Karen. What do you mean? We just said according to the sheet of Rab that you don't. So V'lo Kasha. Kan B'Kofatz kan B'Shlo Kofatz. What does that mean? Bereisha de Tani Mishalim, why does he have to pay? That he made the shvua before the Beis Din was mechayiv him to do so. So basically, if you know that a shvua is coming, but you weren't instructed to do so, but you just immediately make a shvua, that shvua is not so strong, because it was not instituted by Beis Din, even though you were in Beis Din, but the Beis Din didn't tell you to do it. And therefore, because of that, you still could be chayav to have to return the bikadin. Masha'ein kain kishaloi kafatz. In other words, the Beis Din actually told you to do it, and then only afterwards did you make the shvua, then that would be enough to pater. The Rab was svirloch. The Rab does not hold like you. Mashkuni nafshach ad Rav lomalach. So why are you basically bending backwards to hold like the shita of him? Because after all, you don't agree with him. Or Malay lefrushi with the Rav hachi mataritz leil mastisin. So it's interesting. What is the shak matari over here? But basically, it's in order to be able to reconcile the shita of Rav. Rav Karakomer. What do you mean? Rav has a pasuk. So that pasuk is pretty strong to support that you're going to be potter from having to pay. So Amar Kral Chol Hanishboyin Shabatar Nishboyin Lo Mishalman Hudasa. V'Lachach Baal V'Yishal Misha Olav V'Shalom Hu Nishba. All this pasuk really may be coming to tell you is not this whole thing that you swear and then witnesses come that you're potter from paying the milvar pikadon. It just means that when it comes to all the shvuas in the Torah, there's a chiyuv of the person who makes the shvua is the one who makes the shvua and does not pay. The one who has to pay is the one who needs to make the shvua, but not the person who is trying to take the money, again, unless, as we saw before, if there's a din of gazlin or nechshad al shvua. But typically speaking, this is what the pasuk is teaching us. Pashit, just to tell you that there's a chiyuv of shvua on the person to not pay. Meisev Rav Hamnuna, so he has the kasha. Hishbiel Rav Chamisha Pamim Bifnei Beis Din. Let's say a person made a shvua 5 times in front of Beis Din, ben Bifnei Beis Din, ben Shalom Bifnei Beis Din, whether in front or not, but kafulav, and then he was found to have been denied, right? V'kafulav, chayiv al kolach zvachas. So he's chayiv every single time he makes a shvua sheker. The Yom Rav Shimon Matam. Why is he chayiv 5 times, which means he'll have to pay chaimish and osham each single time he makes this shvua? Because at every time he could have admitted, and therefore it's considered to be kfir mamoin by each one. So v'hacha kafat sulamatzas amr hishpiel of katani. You can't tell me we're talking about a case of kafats that he jumped the gun before Beis Din told him to, because it says hishpia alav. They're saying we want you to make a shvua, which means he was instructed to do so. Chutz Beis Din lo matzas amrit bifnei Beis Din katani. Again, it says it's beferish bifnei Beis Din. So you can't say it was chutz Beis Din. You can't say it was Beis Din. He was kafats. So how could we say that you're chayiv to pay? I thought we said you don't have to pay in those cases, according to Rav. So who moisel b'hu mafarik law with stud and kadani. You actually have to read this with studim, which like this. Hishbia love chutz Beis Din. If, let's say, he made a shvua outside of Beis Din, which that in itself is not strong, or ube Beis Din, or he made a shvua even though it was Beis Din, but if it was kafatz. So in either situation, he'll have to pay each time. But if he did so in Beis Din, he was not kafatz, then he would be potter. Mesav Rabba, Baal Habayis Shetoin Tanas Gana B'Bikadin. So again, you have someone who has an object that is supposedly in his domain. I asked you to hold something as a safekeeping for me, B'Kadin, and you claim when I want it back that it was stolen, in which we know that there's a din kefil. V'nishba b'hoida bo edim, and witnesses come, even though he made a shvua. Imad shloi bo edim hoida. If, let's say, before the witnesses come, he admits Misham Karen B'chayim Mishvashim, and he doesn't pay kefil because he's Moed B'Knas. However, he has to pay everything else. The Mishabo Edim Hoida, but let's say he admits only after the witnesses come, so which means that we really listen to the witnesses, then Misham Tashim Kefil. V'Asham, he has to pay back kefil and asham. Now the hachlachas amesim v'kavatol masas armor. So kefil katani, it says you pay kefil. So again, why would he have to pay if he already made a shvua? El Omer Rava kol hoida. Anytime there's a person who is admitting, anytime that he is admitting, loy shna, it doesn't matter, toyin tanis avan, loy shna toyin tanis ganav, loy Omer Rav. Rav will not say he's potter actually. So we're changing Rav a little bit. If you're toyin tanis avad, which again, you're not chayiv kefil, but you be chayiv chaymish and asham, or karen chaymish asham, toyin tanis ganav, which can be chayiv kefil, even after the witnesses come, even though you made a shvua, right? So you're still chayiv, and it makes sense because the whole concept of being tantanas ganav is talking about only with a shvua. So if you made a shvua, then you don't have to pay. But the whole parsha is talking about a chiyuv of paying with, even though you made a shvua. So Rav cannot be talking about that you're potter in those cases. Doksiv visvada the boy shulmi kern b'chaymish. So certainly he has to pay keren b'chaymish, or again by toyin tanis ganav kefil. Toyin tanis ganav uva edim nami lo yamarav. Certainly not. Doksiv tashel kefil. Right? He'd be chayiv in those cases. Ki kamer. So what was Rav talking about? That you made a shvua and then witnesses come that you're potter. It's kegoyin shetoyin tanis avad, that you claim not toyin tanis ganav or toyin tanis avad. But what happened was this. You claim that the object was lost. V'nishma, you make a shvua. V'lo hoida, but you do not admit to anything. You say nothing. Uva edim, and then witnesses come. So that is the time in which he'll say you're going to be potter. But it's true. If you're toyin tanas, if you were toyin tanas avad, the din is you would have to pay keren b'chaymish. But that's only because you admitted afterwards that you were lying. Where here you were not, you were nishma, you were not hoida. And then witnesses come afterwards. In that situation, the din is that you will be, in that case, you will in fact be potter. Also, Rav Gamda, Yomel Shmaisa Kamed Rav Ashi, so this was said in front of him, now, Ma Mar Hamnuna, Talmid Rav. Now we know that Rav Hamnuna was a student of Rav. V'yada the Omer Rav Hoida, and he knows that Rav said that Hoida, that he admitted, but Kamaisav Hoida, and he asked a question about Hoida. Yad Amrit Hoida Loyom Rav. Now you're going to tell me that that's not what he said? What is going on over here? I understand that maybe that's a good answer, but how could it possibly be that that's what he really said? This is actually the whole question over here as we continue to Kuf Vav Omid Beis. If you want to tell me correctly that he made a shvua, so this guy who's claimed that it was lost, and he makes a shvua, the kiyos edim, that when witnesses come there afterwards, the mechayev, that he would still be chayev to pay back the keren. Amtul hachi, if that's the case, that's the reason mechayevin law carbon a shvua, that he's going to be chayav to pay to bring a carbon shvua. Says Rashi, the hoyel v'yochel lachsul hoydos ben zulazu, because he was able to retract between each one. Nims the chol achas shvuas kafira bifni atzmohi. Each one is considered to be a kafira because he could have admitted to it. Basraisa hoyel v'yochel lachsul hoydos because he could have always, as we said, retracted. And that's the reason why he's going to be chayav al kolach v'achas. Eliyam kiyasu edim potter. If witnesses come afterwards, he's potter. Mi'ikam hidid ilu asi sahadim be potter. If witnesses come, he'll be potter. Anan and we neku nechayvi karben shvua. We're going to make him mechayav shvua havi yachal laso hadis because he could have admitted hashtem eloi oini, but he was not moida. And therefore, basically, what we're trying to say is that is in fact what we're going to stick by. That we're talking about a case of Tantanas Avad, and we're talking about a situation where he does make a shvua, but he's not moida. In that situation, he would not have to pay. However, otherwise, in fact, even a Rabbi would hold you would. Omer Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Omer Rav Yochanan. Hatayin tanas gana b'pikadayin. So again, this is all Meruba. I hope you remember this. So someone has a pikadayin by you, and he says, "Can I have it back?" And he says, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, it was stolen." It turns out that you make a shvua to that effect, and you're lying. So misham tashumi kefel. So you would have to pay kefel in that situation for tayin tanas ganav. Tavach hamachar. If let's say you shachted or sold it, so misham tashum arba chamisha. You'd have to pay 4 for a sev, 5 for a shor. Hoya v'gan misham tashumi kefel. Tanas ganav misham tashumi kefel, because we know if you would have just stolen it, there's a din kefel. You have to return double. So too by tanas ganav. So ma ganav shu misham kefel. So you have to pay dal behave, shachted or sell. So basically, the din of ganav and the din of tanas ganav is basically the same. The only distinction has to do with the shvua, which we're going to see now. Does that mean term of tanas ganav I don't understand. When it comes to a ganav, we know that he has to pay kefil even though he didn't make a shvua. But tanas ganav, you only pay with a shvua. So how could you compare the two? That maybe that also means that you're going to be chayav dal behei, just like just like it works by a ganav, works by tanas ganav. No, we're more strict by a ganav that you're chayav even without a shvua. So amri hakisha he ve'in mashivin al hakesha. That's a hekesh. Don't ask questions on a hekesh. I can understand if you hold one is talking about a ganav, one's talking about tanas ganav. I can understand. Elomad the Emer ha'im yamatzei haganav, v'imo yamatzei tervayu b'tayin tanas ganav. That both psukim, the machlokas, that are actually talking about tanas ganav. So ma'il kamemar. Then what are you going to say? How can you tell me that it's a hekesh when both of them are referring to the same person? Says Rashi, tervayu b'tayin tanas ganav, the ganav atzma nafklan mi'imi matzei, biyado dechsiv b'parsha achriti. Or imlo timatzi means if you didn't find it the way that you claimed, but that's definitely everyone holds imlo timatzi ganav is definitely talking about tanas ganav. The question is, how is that hekesh? So amri ganav ha ganav. What does that mean? Says Rashi, the hay is meribui de hay. The sarab tanas ganav. Yalfin lakol dini ganevel ramos teshum kefel vidal the hay. So it's a cute little drasha. Homiletically, it's the hay. What is the actual drasha that we went out from this hekesh? The hay, that there's a chiv also of dalad and a hay. He asked a question. 1 second. Heichen shari, where's my ox? Nignav, it was stolen. Oh, so you're turning tanas ganav. Mashmiachani, swear to that to me. We have witnesses that he ate it, so it's not here anymore. So Misham Tashumi Kefel, because it's a case of tanas ganav, he has to pay back kefil. We know that the only way he could have possibly have eaten this, assuming that he's a quasi good Jew, right? He's still a ganav and a liar, but he won't eat treif apparently, right? He must have shechted it. Right? So it's interesting, like the Havamid is a Yid is not going to eat treif, right? So he must have shechted it. So even so, we see that there's no din by tayin tanas ganav of a chiv dal v'hei. What are you talking about? How come I skin can shach on the veil? This guy's no big tzaddik over here. So you think he's makbid on treifas and the veilus? He probably didn't shecht it either, and that's the reason why he's chayiv only kefil, not dal v'hei. Why do we say it was a nevel? Why do we say it was a treifa? That there was something internally wrong with one of its organs. So Kramer the Eimer shchita shein roy shmo shchita, because when it comes to a treifa, which we saw before, Unlike Rav Shimon, the shchita she'eina roya is not a shchita, and therefore, like, by din of a treifa, it's a machlokas. But according to Rameir, shchita she'eina roya is still a shchita. However, in nevela you didn't shechta. A treifa you did shechta, but it was shchita she'eina roya. A nevela just means you didn't shechta. The lishnile beben pakua. Why don't we use this 1 in a million case, which is, I want to just say milslo shliach, maybe it wasn't solo shliach back then. They have a ben pakua, that the item that was stolen was a ben pakua, in which, interestingly enough, the din is that you actually don't even need to shech this animal, because since the animal in its mother, which was shechted, everything in the animal is considered to be like uber yerach imo, is considered to be like part of the mother, and therefore, even though it's now walking around, you could eat it even without shchita. Gramer the amr ben pakua toin shchita. No, because Rameir holds you do need shchita there. So v'lishni le kigain shamad bedin. Let's say there was a mad bedin. The amr let's say tainlo, and they said, go and give it. Rava, say tainlo, if he already was instructed to give it, tavach hamachar pater. My time, akivan the paskil milse, since he was already given instructions to give it, the tavach hamachar, and then afterwards he shechs it, tavi gazlan. The gazlan misham tashmi arba v'chamisha. So we know that you only chayiv to pay dal v'hei davka if you're a ganav, but not a gazlan, right? Gazlan lo misham tashmi arba v'chamisha. Chayiv atalitin lo. If you said chayiv atalitin lo v'tavach hamachar chayiv, my time kol kamadul psikale milsa kati ganavu. So he wasn't actually said setain lo, which means you must now give it. This is the verdict. So at that point, if you don't do it, you're a gazlan, and then if you don't pay down the hay. So why don't we just say this is the case of setain lo, and if that's why you don't have to pay down the hay. Why don't we just talk about that? We're talking about a partner that shechs it without his partner's consent. So there's numerous times where you would not be chayiv dal b'hei. It mentions 1 out of 2 or possibly 3 answers. So it just says the reason why you don't pay dal b'hei is because it is in the veil. But you're right. If you would have shechted it by toin tonas ganav, taki would be chayiv dalin v'hei. Okay, we're gonna stop there. Continues a lot of good Maruba stuff. Question 8. Hechen Shairi. Nignav, it was stolen. Ve'edem edem oiso she'achlu v'sham tashem b'kefil. His payonly kefil. Mehem ho'afanim she'yesh lehem rotaretz had ein kan tashem without hey v'sham deficha shekan malachila. Why don't we say that maybe, why would he not be chayiv in dal v'hei, basically? So he said, maybe because he ate it as a nevela, or as a treifa, or ben pakua. It was amad bedin, they said, say tainlo, or it's shutav shetavach shlo ladas chavero. So there's really 5 answers. So it's this lashon of the Gemara of chadim and trei tlasa nakat doesn't mean that there's only 3 acceptable answers. That's just a lashon, which means sometimes we just choose 1 out of multiple answers, but it doesn't mean that one over the other. We just chose. He had his nevela. Okay. Now let's look at question TA3. Hakaifer b'pikadayin b'lo shvuah im nasa gazlan. So if you're kaifer b'pikadayin, what's the din? And you didn't make a shvuah, so are you a gazlan? So im haya b'rshuso harihu gazlan. V'kaima b'agam eno gazlan. So that's really, we could say this is similar to the other questions, but we'll make TA3 on Kuf Hayamid Beis, because this is what it says. Hakmayaskin de Koi Ba'agam. Deloy Delav Kfirahu, the Savash Ishtamat Nile, the Il Azlinna, Umaisinale, so you're just Ashtamute, you're just trying to push him off. But you're not like a Russia, you're not a Gaza in that situation. Okay. Mal Loimdim Mahapasik, what do we learn out from the Pasik of Uvalakach Bal of Yishalim? So, one answer, Pashit. This was on Aleph. So, one answer of Uvalakach Bal of Yishalim is come to tell you that, like the sheet of Rav, that once he makes a shvuah, the din is he's potter. That's it. He doesn't have to pay anymore. Alternatively, TA4. No, all it's come to tell you is Omer Kra L'chol HaNishboyin Shebatayra Nishboyin V'lo Mishalman Hu Da'asa. V'lochach Baal V'lo Yishalim means Mish Allah V'shalim Hu Nishma. It just means when there's a shvua, who's the one who makes the shvua? The one who would have to pay. Okay, so this is what he writes. In Nishma Shein Locha Biyadi Klum V'Edim Sheish Lo Patim V'shalim if he made a shvua. Or B'chol HaNishboyim Shebatayra Nishboyin V'lo Mishalman. Okay. All right. TB6. Mashna kaifer hakoil bebikadin the chayiv shvua me kaifer hakoil b'milva de potter mishvua. Chayiv shvua. Okay, so basically, this is what it says over here. I'm thinking this is what they're looking for. Is b'milvi yochel loymerish temute ve'in adam meiz panav lifnei bal chayiv of a bikadam meiz umeiz. Oh, this is actually by Shavuos HaKaifer. So this is the famous Gemara. Oh, okay. This is going to be the Gemara about Moedim and Mixas Adaf Kov Zion. So we're going to hold off on that. All right, famous Gemara. Rabbi Gibber Hatayin Tanis Ganav B'Shor Shehuf Godetzloi Ve'enim Eidamai Sushachol. So there's really 5 answers, but Rabbi Gibber only asked us to do 4. Is what I wrote. Achadavela, Treifa, Udaloi Karab Meir, Beben Pakua, Udaloi Karab Meir, Oimed Bedin, Saint Tainloi is a Goslin, or partners of a behemoth stolen. Akam.